Thank you for joining me today. This is a family heirloom of a friend of mine and her daughters, and they have very carefully taken the original cover off, having asked me what they should do and what they shouldn't do, and they've lovingly restored the wood. So I am going to have the pleasure of putting it back together for them. So let's get on with it. This is the bench that my friend and her daughter are taking to pieces for me. They're going to redo the woodwork so it all looks nice and neat. That's the side view. So it's got a skirt all the way around and it's got a boxing, so I don't know how all of that is done. Hopefully they're going to give me all the pieces that go with it so I can reuse the filler. As I turn this bench around, I'm going to see what I can do at each corner. I'm going to cut down like that, and I'm going to fold that under like that, there and there. I think I probably need to cut some of this back. This is such thick fabric. I want to treat it as one fabric if I can, rather than two. Let's see if I can get this here. At the front end here, this comes up, that comes there. I think what I'll do is I'll bring it into here. I have other things coming in, so I kind of want to build it up to this point. Let's see where that comes. I am going to pull both fabrics away from the back to the front, kind of a straight line, because this chair is angled. A couple more stitches should do it. Fold that there and stretch it to the front. Staple this here and all the way along here. Fold it over so it cannot unravel, and secure again. I'm not going to secure it all the way, just a couple to hold it. That would do for that side. Before I start on the other end, I'm going to pull this in and staple it here. These springs are kind of in the way for me. There's going to be more staples going in, so I'm not going to worry too much about their distance. I'm going to fold that under on that corner, just as I did on the other end. I'm going to cut down like that till it fits in. It's a bit overcut, it won't matter, nobody's going to see it. Fold that under there and secure it. I've folded that under like I did on the other side. I'm going to pull it back from the other side because I want this as firm as possible, and secure it. On this front edge, again, I'm going to cut to the front of there, keeping all of this as even as possible. Fold that under, pull it from the front. Now I need a little bit more of a cut back here. Pop that there and pull it against the back and against the other side. So I'm pulling it this way and this way. Secure it. And now I'm going to pull both of these away from the other side and secure it all the way along this frame. Pull it, secure it. Pull it, secure it. Fold it over and secure it again. I'm going to cut that back because I don't need quite that much there. Fold that over, pull it in so the warp and weft thread are straight, and pull it from the back to the front and secure. Grabbing both pieces of fabric, I'm going to pull them down and into place and secure across the top row. These have to be a little bit closer together because they're pulling and they're going in between here. Again, pull it, secure it, pull it, secure it. Once you've got some done, fold that over and secure. I'm going to do that all the way along the front of this bench. I don't need to pull it from side to side because it's already been pulled. Here you can see some of the lumps and bumps from the springs underneath. I'm going to put over this, which is an old blanket. You can pick them up from second-hand shops, and they're ideal because they add to what you're doing without being too expensive. This, when it's pulled over in place, just like I've done, should soften any more of this out. I think I'll only need to have 2 layers for it. And it's in lieu of cotton wadding. Actually, it's a little bit thin compared to that, so if I need to, I'll put 2 more layers on top to build this base up. Again, I'm just going to staple it into position as I had. You will have to pull it just like you did the underside to make sure it's tight. Unfortunately, I didn't think about it. She said she was going to give me everything that came off here. She didn't give me the original padding that was underneath. She just gave me the old cover. That's fine. Lots of people don't realise that the old filler underneath is actually quite useful. And there's always a chance that they will fold it and make it really awkward to reuse. So probably just as well. I'm going to cut this down. I need to measure some foam to go on here, which is just over 36 inches from outside to outside, so 36.5 inches by, it says 20, but I'm going to make it 21 because I want it to kind of dip into here and roll. At the back here, I need to cut in at an angle. I'm going to say about that. Pull this out and cut in like that. It doesn't have to be perfect because it's going to be folded over. And it might take me a couple of times to get exactly where I want to be getting to. That goes there, and under, and under. No, still not quite right. I think I need to come out a bit. Because that will go behind and down as I pull that back, and that will go down here. I can take a little bit off the front, but I'm not going to take too much because this is going to come in when I bring the back into here. I'm going to take a little bit off here so it folds back better. If I need to alter it, I will, but that will do for the moment. I need a lot of filler in here, but I can cut it back where I need to so that it lays smoothly. And now I'm going to do the same at the front. Cut in at an angle and ease that all into place. I want to be able to come right under here. If I have to cut that out, I will, but I'm going to try to push all of that in. Let's see what I can do on this corner. Take some of this out on this side so it goes in to shape under the arm. Once I'm happy with that, I'll do the same on the other end. I'm going to do just as I did a second ago, which is to cut down, feed that in there. If I need to, I'll put some more in. And I'm also going to cut down here just a little bit. That's going to go down on both sides of that. There's an area here that I've got to staple into. As long as the dacron comes to there, all the way around, that will work. When I'm pulling the top cover in, this will be pulled down into place anyway, so I'm not going to worry. The front here, I'm going to cut down along here, all the way across. I'm pulling it slightly, but not too much. It should all come into place. Cut that up just a wee tad, so it folds like that. The bar that I've got to secure it in is way down here, so it's higher on the side than it is on the front. I'm going to have to be very careful with this fabric. One, because it frays quite easily, which is not good for me. And two, I would like to iron it out, but it started to get stuck to the bottom of my iron. So be careful when you're using people's fabrics because accidents do happen. I've ironed it enough. I think that most of this is flat. I still have a crease up here, but I think that will pull out. So now I'm just going to push this into place under at the back and round at the sides to make sure I've got enough. I can only come down to here. I mustn't go below that bar. There we go. I'm going to pull it away in a straight line to here. At least I think that's a straight line. It looks like it. And I'm going to put that in as well. Again, bring that down and into place, pulling it out to the side here. And now I'm going to go in this direction, doing exactly the same thing. Pull it out and into place. I'm going to pull the front down and into place. I'm going to take it to the top of that ridge on the front border because I don't want to make any mess. Pull one way like this and into place. Just keep an eye on where that ridge is so I don't staple below it, which is easily done. And then I'll come back this way and do exactly the same. I'm just pulling it in and stabilizing it. Here is the corner. I'm going to cut into the corner, but not all the way, probably about to there. Work that in, push that down a little ways, and maybe half an inch. Fold both sides under, like that, and pull them in to there. I think I need to pack it just a little bit more before I should pull it in completely. Likewise here, pull that out so it's at right angles. And again, I am going to cut in, not all the way, to about half an inch. Fold both sides under so I can see where I am and pull that in. That looks pretty good. It's the one at the back I'm not really happy with. Just cut in a little bit more. I don't really want to cut in too much because it is fraying like mad. It's pulling apart, so it's not a good fabric to be using. I think I'm going to have to cut in just maybe 2 little more threads, certainly not very much. And I'm going to pull that one right under there and that one right under there, so it's all hidden and all the frayed areas are down behind there where they're protected. I'm going to put this side in first, so I'm going to cut that back in a straight line so there's not too much bulk going in behind there. Push the foam back into place. The wadding can come down a little bit, but I'm going to push that up as well. Work some of the wadding into the fold so that it bulks up slightly. This is really awkward actually. And in. And then down. Once I've got this in at the right angle, I'll be able to take this off and readjust it. But in the meantime, I'm just going to pull it down straight like that. The foam has to be pushed above the wood. The wadding can come down and smooth it into place. I'll be able to manoeuvre this into position a little bit better and move forward so it looks nice and even across the top here. The fabric is quite thin, so it is going to pinch, unfortunately. I have a bit of an unusual problem at the front here, and that is this comes across and down, so I'm going to have to pull very hard at the front so that I can keep all of that in place. I can twist that into position and get it down there. I will have to bulk out a little bit here so it looks nice and plump, and it's going to take a little bit of manoeuvring, but I think it'll work. It's unusual, I've never had that problem before. I hadn't really thought about it until I was putting this part on, that I realised that it could be quite a major problem to me. Especially as I've cut back, I need to make sure that the cover comes in and hides everything. I'm going to cut back a couple of inches in a straight line, try to manoeuvre everything around so that only this is on the edge here, and I can pull that in and make it look nice and tight. The warp or weft threads still need to be straight like that, and it comes all the way down to the front, which is a long way down. Push everything up and secure. I might have to come back, so I'm only going to put a couple of staples in to hold it firmly at the front. I think that will work. Don't think I want to come further over, but I might need to. There's a ridge here, so I'm going to have to make sure that that is really well stuffed when I come back to it in a minute. Upholstery is a case of you do one area and you come back, you have to redo it and you have to come back. Sometimes it goes in straight away and sometimes it doesn't. Before I pull too much of this in, I am going to cut that back just a little bit so there's not that much fabric there. Pull that out, pull that under, and pull that in. I have to make sure that the line of the chair follows. So I'm going to just pull this in and staple it, and then I'm going to pull it all the way to the back, and hopefully it will look nice and neat. I am prepared to take some of these staples out and start again though. I think I want to pull it all forward, to be honest, from the back forward. I'm going to take this middle one out and start again. Which means when I do the front on the other side, I'm just going to have to be really careful because I hadn't really noticed that problem until I was putting the cover on. We often miss things or assume something and then discover it's not quite right. Whatever I've cut in there, I think I can easily hide. I just got to be careful, that's all. I'm going to pull all of this down and forward. It is at a slight angle. It should be slightly less on here, especially here, compared to here, but I'm going to ease all of that in first. Probably take me a couple of times to get it exactly where I want it. This is ridged and that's ridged. I can move those along. Now I've just got to straighten these ones out so it looks even. Along this side I'm going to cut back just a little bit so that I can fold this right underneath. And I've pushed all of the foam up there. I've got this piece of dacron here, which I'm going to wrap that around like that and pull into place. Now I do want the warp of weft thread to be straight up and down. Unfortunately that's pulling out slightly, so I'm going to put a staple in here to hold it so I don't have to pull too much there because it was just out of kilter. So push that round, pull that in, pull that down. Thinking I need to take a bit of this dacron out because it's a little bit too thick for what I want at the bottom. Ideally that should come in like that, and there should just be a small amount of fabric wrapped around at the lowest point because I don't want that too thick for the trim to go on. And pull this down and smooth it out. If it rises up a little bit, it's really not a problem, so long as it's smooth as it rises up. Actually, I'm going to try to pull it in so it's flat at the back. Should be about there. I'm going to start moving everything back the other way. This is above this bar here. There's a groove here. As I go across, I'll start cutting everything out. I'm going to try to bring it all down so it's level on the right warp or weft thread. Kind of goes up a little bit, so I'm going to work on this and bring it in a little bit better so it comes down nicely into the back and it's even. I'm going to work my way that way and pulling it into place. I'm going to put this in over here. I'm hoping it works. Fold it back and secure it again. And then on this side, I'm going to kind of measure out where I think it's going to go, which is to about there. Pull that through as straight as you can. I try not to put my fingers on the end because these are quite cruel. See how that goes. No, I think I need to go a little bit further out. It's so I can roll it down. And then I'm going to pull it across, level with there. Not too much, just enough to put it a little bit taut. 3 across. And then again, fold that over and I'm going to secure it. Then I'm going to put another piece there. I can't put one down here because the arm's in the way, but most people's weight is up here. Again, I'm just going to fold that over a little bit away from the edge and secure it. At this point, I would usually weave it. I'm not going to. This is weak, and although there's nails holding it into place, I don't want to put any pressure on it, which causes it to fall off later or come apart when they're sitting on it. That would be a terrible thing to do to them. This should be enough. I've just got to hold the top layers in position. I'm going to pull this away from the other side as hard as I can and secure it. I'm going to do that all the way along here. When I've done that, I'm going to fold it over just like I have on the other 3 sides and secure it again. I have a 1-inch piece of foam which fits nicely in there, about 1/2 inch smaller, so there's a little bit of a gap there for me to put the staples in, and that's all the way around. I need to put some Dacron on and have to patch it slightly. I'll start stapling that in. I'm going to work out where the Dacron goes so I can secure it. I'm going to pop this down. I have quite a good edge on the bottom there, so I'm going to use that as my edge on here so I can pull it to the top. So that should fit nicely. I'm not going to put any staples from about 4 inches on either side because those are going to be pulled in so they're nice and tight. This is about the center. Pull it out to the side along that groove and secure it. I've gone all the way across the bottom, leaving about 1/4 inch allowance. I'm going to pull this in. I'm not going to pull it too much because I don't want it too flat. I want it a little bit bouncy. And again, along here. Out to the side here. Try to make it as even as I can. And it's being pulled against the bottom there. Then I'm going to infill and try to keep it even. This is a bit awkward because there's quite a bit going on there. And I really don't want to mess it up. And then out to the other side. I think I've got everything in that groove. I hope I have. There's really not much I can do if I haven't. It's really not that obvious. And then I'm going to infill again. I'm getting ready to put the outside back on. This is quite thin fabric, so if I put it straight on here, there's going to be ridges all the way around. It would be very noticeable. So I'm going to put some more of this on, which acts like cotton wadding. This is about 3 inches. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure it into about 2 5/8 from the outside edge so it's nice and even. It's a bit of a bind when you have to measure everything. That's the way it goes. You can't always have everything the way you want it. I'm going to start securing that. I don't like having to measure everything. It gets very tiring. And up to the top, 2 5/8 to there, and pull it up so it's nice and straight. And then I'll infill here in a couple of places because the outside edge is the one I'm more concerned about, not the inside. I'll come along the top here and secure it and pull it against there and secure it along the bottom as well, so there is no ridge. I've decided to bring it to 2 4/8 across here. It just means it goes down nicely on the side of the fabric underneath. Pull that down, 2 4/8. That might vary slightly, but as long as it's more or less that. And now I'm pulling against the top, and then I'm going to just infill to make sure it's even. I'm going to pull the fabric across the top to this end. I'm not going to make it terribly taut, but I am going to make it taut-ish. And I'm running that just about 1/8 shy of the cutout at the top. This means that when I put the trim on, it shouldn't interfere. What I've done is I pulled the side in so it's level, and then here I'm going to pull that down and secure it here, and I'm going to pull away from the top and put that in all the way down. And then I'll go all the way across and cut that back, and then I'll have to work out the other side. I have cut the piping at 2 inches wide. I also cut it on the bias. I've strung them on to each other, and I'm going to cut that back to about 1/4 inch from the seam. If you attach them at right angles and across, they should line up. I'm going to pop that down here on the inside and put that on top next to it, same height, and then fold that over and slide that under here. Foot down, fold that over and lay that on top like that. So this is all folded round, and fold that over the top like that so it's nice and even. When it's all lined up, I've got it on the longest stitch for this part. I'm going to sew. Go so far along and then rewind everything into place. Trying to keep everything level here, you don't want it stretching. Now when I join the lengths together, I always do that on the shortest stitch, but when I do this, I always do it on the longest. I'm going to do that to the end. As I come close to the join, I'm going to cut that back because I don't want it lumpy. Start folding that over, keeping the seam flat. Lay that over the top and across. I'm going to hold that into position while I sew. As I get closer, refold that into place like that, a little way past the seam, across and that over the top, and on down to the next join. I think I'm going to take this little section out because the warp, or the weft thread I should say, kind of rises a little bit, which makes this look a little bit lumpy. It won't pull in very far, maybe 1/4 inch, and then I will cut that back, make sure it's nice and neat, and I can put the double piping on. I'm quite happy with the way it's gone in here and across here. My only concern is along here I had to kind of guesstimate where everything went. There's no specific line for it to go along, but I think that's gone in well. I just now got to work on the front. Thank you for joining me on this project. I'm sure that my friend is going to be thrilled with this. It's turned out really well. Just a little bit of padding on the back. You don't want it too chunky. The fabric is a little bit coarse, but it's a loose weave, so it's a little bit difficult to pull in and make it look straight, but I think I'd managed that eventually. It took a couple of times. If you'd like to see more from me, please subscribe, hit the bell button, and a few thumbs up would be brilliant. And in the meantime, take care. See you later. Ciao.